Welcome to another fantasy series written by Oracle 1. Frostlight. Episode 1. The Duel at Frostmere Gate. The wind at Frostmere Gate did not howl. It cut. It slid between armor seams, beneath cloaks, through bone and marrow alike. Sharp as a blade and just as merciless. Snow gathered along the ancient stone walls, not in soft drifts but in jagged ridges, shaped by years of relentless storms. And yet, the courtyard was full. Students stood in a wide circle, boots grinding frost into the stone, breath misting the air. Humans, elves, dwarves, each clad in the dark blue and silver of the Arcanum Collegiate. Their voices were hushed, tense, expectant. Because duels like this did not happen often. Not for a light crystal. At the center of the courtyard stood two figures. One wreathed in frost, the other in flame. Last chance to withdraw, called Master Helvar, his voice carrying over the wind. The old dwarf stood near the gate itself, his staff planted firmly in the ground. Once the duel begins, the crystal will bind to the victor. There will be no reversal. The girl of frost did not move. Lyriel Voss stood barefoot on the frozen stone, her pale skin untouched by the cold. Silver hair fell down her back in a loose braid, strands already rimmed with ice. Her eyes, light blue, almost colorless, remained fixed on her opponent. "I will not withdraw," she said. Her voice was quiet, but the air around her dropped several degrees. Across from her, the boy of flame smiled faintly. "Neither will I." Kale Draven rolled his shoulders, fire licking along his arms like living creatures. His dark hair clung damply to his forehead, steam rising where snowflakes dared touch his skin. His eyes burned amber in the dim light. "Let's not waste time," he added. A murmur rippled through the watching students. Opposites. Everyone could see it. Frost and fire. Stillness and fury. Lyriel exhaled slowly, frost spreading outward from her feet in a delicate pattern. "You shouldn't be here," she said. Kale tilted his head. "Why? Because I don't belong?" "No," she replied. "Because you won't survive it." The flame around him flared brighter. "We'll see." The light crystal rested on a pedestal between them. It pulsed faintly, soft, steady, radiant. Unlike ordinary magical artifacts, it emitted no heat, no chill, no visible aura beyond its glow. And yet every mage in the courtyard could feel it. Power. Pure. Unaligned. Waiting. To the first surrender, Master Helvar declared. Or incapacitation. He raised his staff. "Begin." Kale moved first. He didn't hesitate, didn't circle, didn't test. Flame erupted from his palms in a roaring arc, surging forward in a wave meant to overwhelm. Lyriel didn't dodge. She stepped forward. The fire struck. And froze. Not extinguished. Not deflected. Frozen. The flames crystallized midair, twisting into jagged, glass-like shapes before shattering into harmless sparks. A collective gasp rose from the crowd. Kale's grin widened. "Good," he said. "I was worried this would be boring." He surged forward, closing the distance in a heartbeat, fists blazing. His fighting style was aggressive, direct, relentless. Every strike carried heat enough to scorch stone. Lyriel met him calmly. Where he struck, she redirected. Where he pressed, she yielded just enough. Frost formed along her arms, her hands, her very breath shaping into thin blades of ice that intercepted his attacks with precise efficiency. Fire met ice. Neither yielded. But something was wrong. The air between them warped strangely. Each clash didn't cancel the other out, it lingered. Residual heat and cold twisted together, forming unstable pockets that snapped and hissed unpredictably. Kale noticed it first. "You feel that?" he muttered between strikes. Lyriel didn't answer, but her eyes narrowed. She felt it too. The magic wasn't behaving. The duel intensified. Kale drove her back with a surge of flame that erupted outward in a spiraling inferno. Lyriel responded with a sweeping gesture, raising a wall of ice that curved and hardened instantly. The collision shook the courtyard. Steam exploded outward, obscuring everything in a blinding white cloud. For a moment, neither could see, only feel, only sense, and in that moment, the crystal pulsed. Once, harder than before, Lyriel stepped through the mist. Silent, precise, she raised her hand, and the moisture in the air froze instantly, forming dozens of needle-thin shards. "Yield," she said. Kale laughed from somewhere within the fog. "Not a chance." Fire answered, not as a wave this time, but as a concentrated beam, cutting through the mist like a blade of sunlight. It struck the ice shards, and instead of melting them, they ignited. Blue-white fire spread along their surfaces, turning each shard into something new. Something wrong. Lyriel's breath caught. That's not. The shards exploded outward. She barely raised a barrier in time, ice forming around her in a dome as the hybrid magic detonated against it. The impact drove her back, cracking the frozen shield. Across the courtyard, Kale staggered. His own flames flickered strangely, tinged now with pale blue. "What did you do?" he demanded. "I didn't do anything." But they both knew. Something had changed. The crystal pulsed again. Brighter. Closer. Lyriel's gaze snapped to it. Kale's followed. For the first time, they both hesitated. The light crystal no longer sat quietly. It hummed, loud enough now that everyone could hear. Master Helvar stepped forward slightly, frowning. "That's not supposed to." The ground trembled. The crystal lifted from its pedestal. Slowly. Deliberately. The Duel had drawn it in. Or awakened it. Kale moved first again. Not toward Lyriel. Toward the crystal. "If it chooses," he began. "It doesn't choose," Lyriel snapped, moving to intercept him. "It binds." They collided again beneath the floating crystal. This time, there was no restraint. Kale unleashed everything. Flame roared upward in a pillar, engulfing both of them in searing heat. Lyriel answered in kind. Ice surged from the ground, encasing the flames in a spiraling prison of frost. The two forces met, and fused. Not cleanly. Not safely. The fire did not melt the ice. The ice did not extinguish the fire. Instead, they merged. A violent, twisting amalgamation of heat and cold, white flames burning along black ice. The air screamed. Students stumbled back. Master Helvar shouted something, but his voice was lost in the chaos. At the center of it all, Kale and Lyriel stood locked in place. Unable to separate, unable to stop, the magic surged between them. And the crystal descended. It struck between them. Light exploded outward, not blinding, but consuming. For a single, frozen moment, the entire world held its breath. And in that moment, the crystal split. The shockwave threw everyone to the ground. Silence followed. Heavy. Absolute. Snow drifted down slowly, as if unsure whether it was allowed to fall. Kale groaned first. Then Lyriel. They lay on opposite sides of the courtyard, the scorched and frozen stone between them now cracked and glowing faintly. The crystal was gone. Or, no, not gone. Changed. Kale pushed himself up, breathing hard. His flames flickered weakly. But something was wrong. They weren't just orange anymore. Threads of pale blue wove through them. Cold. Lyriel sat up slowly. Frost formed around her, but it wasn't pure. Dark veins ran through the ice, pulsing faintly with heat. They stared at each other. Understanding dawning. "No," Lyriel whispered. Kale flexed his hand. A burst of flame erupted. Then froze mid-air, crystallizing into jagged shards before shattering. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That's new." Master Helvar approached cautiously, his expression grim. "What have you done?" he demanded. Neither answered. Because they both felt it. Deep inside. Something foreign. Something alive. Something shared. The bond snapped into place. Invisible. Unbreakable. Lyriel gasped as pain lanced through her chest. At the same moment, Kale doubled over, clutching his side. Their eyes met again. Fear this time. Real fear. The wind howled louder. And high above the gate, a single figure watched, unmoving, unseen by the others, cloaked in shadow, waiting, as frost burned, and fire froze. End of episode 1. Come back next week for episode 2.